fan.
Oh, God.
I know. Well, when it's on high, too, you can really hear it. The one girl that was watching Dusty came in and it's like, are you killing mice in here?
That's what I was gonna say. It sounds like Mouse Thunderdome in your apartment.
Mouse Thunderdome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, everybody.
Oh,
This is
hey.
two dudes. No, what is it, Marcus? Two Dynamite dudes with attitude.
Oh, my God.
Episode
Dom,
3.
why are you so red right now?
Do I look really red? I'm pretty hot right now.
You look like Jim Hellwig cutting that promo on Raw.
Oh, my God. Hey. Hey, this is a Dynamite theme episode, so please no references to WWE or Raw of any sort or kind. Yes.
Right, guys.
Yes.
Two Dynamite dudes on Dynamite. Is that it?
Dude. No. Jeez, man. Come on.
All right.
I haven't even had any whiskey water yet. This is like the...
Oh, man.
Uh-huh.
Drinking on the job, Dom. Unprofessional. Is that a sippy cup?
No, it's not. It's it used to be a shade, like a blender thing that you like hooked up to a little bullet blender. But I kind of don't need it right now, and it got chipped. So.
Oh, all right.
I'm drinking out of that.
Now you put alcohol into it.
Now I put.
Well, Dom, a lot about Dynamite was fantastic. There were some things that made me wish I was drinking some alcohol.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's just start off. Overall thoughts about just the main event. So you gave your little prediction before to me what you thought was going to happen because you didn't catch up on it until yesterday, correct?
Right. Yes. So I had watched half of it on Wednesday night, and then polished it off yesterday. And yeah, it was not quite what I predicted because I said my prediction was that they want to keep Brian Cage strong. So the way to do that is pretty simple. You go for a DQ angle, and then you set up the rematch, right? That's not how it wound up going down. Taz threw in the towel for Brian Cage. Which I guess is another alternative. It keeps him strong. It does kind of like make it look like Taz's will to win isn't as strong, maybe. So I'm not crazy about it. I also got some real Bret Hart, Bob Backlund vibes with that whole thing.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Marcus, we lost you.
Somebody just tried calling in. I ignored him.
Oh, well, good. That's what you should do.
That's how seriously I take two Dynamite dudes.
That's right. Screw that.
Attitudes.
Yeah, right? Could have been Hollywood.
I think it was a robocall.
Dax Harwood, sub in, getting called.
Oh, yeah. Somebody called me for a birthday party appearance.
Yeah. I hope.
Yeah, so I don't know. It did make it kind of look like Taz's will to win might not be as strong as Brian Cage's, and they're setting up like some dissension there. So I don't know. I don't want to see those two split because I think they're a good pairing. So I wish that they would have gone with the DQ thing, but I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. What were your thoughts?
I liked it. I thought it was especially. So I was kind of in the same boat as you. I watched the first half of it on Wednesday night. But then I had to go to bed to get to work the next day very early in the morning. So I cut out early and was going to watch it the rest of the day, the next day. But I ended up actually watching it today since I knew we were recording today. And I watched so I knew what happened, but I didn't see what happened. And I thought the execution of it all was very good. And I think the big selling point that should not be like dismissed whatsoever is how JR sold it. He was like, immediately when it happened, JR was like, that's a smart move on Taz's part, like doing that. He's like, protect your investment. And like, I thought even Brian Cage has kind of teased dissension in the ranks with Taz because he just tweeted today that like him and Taz went back and forth about it. He doesn't know if he's going to keep him on, all that kind of thing. He's like, but we'll discuss this later. But I think this overall angle and execution of it strengthened the bond between Taz and Cage because it makes it a more realistic kind of What word am I looking for here, Marcus? Like
a unity.
Unity, yes, a more realistic pairing, because union. There you go, a more realistic union, because you're gonna have those. Taz made the executive decision to throw it in the towel, and so and obviously, if you're a competitor, Cage is going to be upset about it. So they're going to go back and forth about it. But like Cage still got over big time. And like building up throughout that match, Mox would put him in arm holds, and like Cage would break it out of it or strengthen his way out of it. But like finally, it just got to him, and that Taz had no choice. And then Cage obviously says he wasn't going to tap. So I thought it was all very, very well done. I feel like this is not. They're not going to tease too much dissension in the ranks of Taz and Cage. I think they're going to progress on as like a very, very strong partnership, and I think it'll be intriguing to see him go up against Darby Allin here too coming up. So that's my thoughts on it.
For a guy with so much muscle packed onto his frame, Brian Cage he is very good in the ring. And you can tell he really knows what he's doing. He knows how to sell. He was doing a great job of selling throughout the match. So a big guy that's willing to sell like that and can move like that, man. I would be tempted to put the title on him if I were Tony Khan and company, just because it's like he's got the right look and he's got the right style and ability. I really think that he could be something for the company on a mainstream show like that, and let's hope that winds up being the case for him. I think he's definitely got a bright future.
Yes, absolutely. I think it was a really good main event, and when I first started off watching it on Wednesday, like I was kind of half in, half out because I had just a very busy day, but and I was in the process of like making dinner around that time, so it was just like I wasn't super duper like tuned into some of the matches and stuff like that. So particularly even with the opening match with Sonny Kiss and Cody, I was like there, but I watched it a second time today. What were your thoughts on that match before I give my opinion?
Yeah, that was one of the parts that I wasn't crazy about. I think.
You get another call. Jeez.
Another call. My goodness, unprofessional.
Wow. You know what? As an aside, I interviewed Terry Funk. I would let him take a phone call, but you don't get the pass.
No can do, and I understand. I'm close to being as big a legend as Terry Funk, just not. But so Cody and Sonny Kiss, like on paper, this is like, hey, this is a cool pairing, but like they did not have chemistry together, and they were having a rough time coming into spots. There were like a lot of very like hokey setups. Like Cody, Sonny Kiss is like, I think Sonny's a great athlete, but he showed that he's still like a little bit green during this match. So Cody, there was a roll up near the end of it, and you could see Cody, you could see the look on his face, like, where the fuck is he? Like he was like waiting for the roll up to happen, and so he's looking behind him and backing up to help Sonny Kiss, and then he gets rolled up. Like Sonny Kiss was just a few steps behind on a lot of the spots, and Cody did the best he could under the circumstances, but like I think that Sonny Kiss kind of got exposed as being green during that match. Again, I like Sonny Kiss, great athlete, cool gimmick. I think that again another guy with a bright future in the business, but Cody Rhodes had to carry the match, and it showed on numerous occasions. So that was a thing that I didn't like, just because I had very high expectations coming into it.
Yeah, I thought I picked up on some of that stuff. Not necessarily the schoolboy part of it, but I do know what you're talking about after you made note of it. But yeah, there was some like a little bit of telegraph things going on here and there, and like head scissor takedowns and different things like that were kind of a little more telegraphed than what they probably should have been. I did like how hard hitting Sonny Kiss was, like with forearms and the legs, like the use of the legs as a weapon and things like that. I thought it made him stand out as like an athlete that had a unique arsenal and believability too in that regard. But yeah, and overall, I really enjoyed it as an opening match. I thought because it did put a new talent that we've seen before, but not certainly in that spotlight. And I thought it was just a very overall from a storytelling perspective. I really enjoyed it. And but I do understand. Go ahead.
I have to disagree with you there too, Dom, because then they had Cody like kind of going heel a little bit because I think that he made the determination like, okay, Sunny Kiss is over, so I have to work this as a heel. So Cody, did the whole thing with like the turnbuckle and whatnot. And it's like, if you're gonna do that, then don't like pick them up afterwards and say, hey, I did just try to drive your face into a turnbuckle and horribly injure you, but hey, good match. And they like hug it out. So like I didn't like that, and no, dude, like I really wanted it to be a good match, but I'm just gonna say it, the match sucked. And Sunny Kiss was to blame. Cody Rhodes was very clearly calling the match and was doing everything he possibly could, and Sunny Kiss was just having a rough time with some of the transitions and keeping up with Cody and what Cody wanted. There were I think I counted 3 occasions where they had spots lined up and Sunny Kiss was not in the right position at the right time.
Sure. I mean, and like I could certainly kind of make note of that too. But I mean, I don't know. Like I don't really. I liked the match. I did like it, and I liked. But I get the whole aspect of like, okay, hey, I did some underhanded things, but let's hug it out here. That's kind of not that it's an excuse whatsoever. But that's kind of been a thing in wrestling, and at least it wasn't on the level of like Triple H hitting Sting with a sledgehammer and then fucking hugging afterwards. You know what I mean?
But we're friends.
I tried to kill you with a blunt object, but hey, great match.
But like if this is a shoot and this turnbuckle is made of steel and it's as dangerous enough to be the end of a match, if this is a shoot, then like Cody Rhodes was at the minimum trying to put Sunny Kiss in the hospital. Or give him a concussion.
No, it's true.
But he's like, "Oh, kind of lost control of myself."
Hey, sorry about that.
Give me a hug. And so it just like, yeah, to me, go bring it.
Bring it on.
No, I hated that. I know why Cody did it, but that doesn't make it the right thing to do.
Okay. Go ahead. What did you have? Something else you want to add?
Last point I was going to make about it is like, I kind of look back at the territory days as the basis for how you work a wrestling match. And by that, I mean, could you ever picture a babyface Sting or like a babyface Bobby Eaton, like trying to cheat to win a match and then afterwards going back babyface? Like if you're going to cheat to win a match, you are turning into a heel back in those days. The babyfaces never, ever cheated. And I know that, it's like, hey, we're in the modern times. This is like a new era. But no, like there's still formulas, and those formulas still work. And when a babyface cheats or bends the rules in order to win, it's not the right way to do it, unless you're Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he was the unabashed heel babyface, whereas Cody Rhodes is like a straight up babyface until he thinks that the match is a threat or losing the match is a legitimate threat, and then it's like, I'm gonna cheat. But then that's it. Then I'm a baby face.
I gotta kind of disagree with push back on you there too, because even in this AEW run Cody's had, we've seen signs of heel tactics beforehand, and he's still overall been the baby face. Now, and in addition to that, you mentioned that there hasn't been baby faces that have played heel back in the territory days. They've always just been a baby face if they were the baby face. That's not true either. Like Terry Funk, if he was in a different territory and if he was in Amarillo, there's no way he would be a heel. There's just no way. So he'd have to play the babyface.
That's a very different example, Dom. We're talking about national television, where the character you are is the character you are. If Cody Rhodes went to an indie show in New Jersey and decided that he was going to be heel that night, no problem. Just like back in the day, a lot of baby faces would go to a different territory. Like they'd come into Jerry Lawler's territory, and all of a sudden they're a heel because it's Jerry Lawler's territory. So they have to come in and work heel. So like that's a very different example. I'm talking about territory days as in like NWA, national television. There is no way that a baby face is doing anything that even resembles cheating.
Okay, but I don't know though, Marcus, because I mean, let's be honest, me and you are not we haven't watched the whole entire catalog of Jim Crockett Promotions or NWA or Mid-South. So if we were to go back, I'm sure we would see signs of that in those matches, Marcus, when there's like a particular babyface maybe fighting another babyface. So it's like
only if there's an impending heel turn, and I'd be willing to ask Jim Cornette that question to his face. God knows he's an encyclopedia of like the old school wrestling tactics. But no, man, I truly believe that unless you're slowly transitioning into a heel, which maybe Cody is, maybe this is his slow turn. And if that's the case, I'll take it all back. But as of right now, if he's staying babyface, which it looks like he is, I think it's a bunch of crap. But I don't know, Dom. I could be wrong, because what was all that stuff with Tully Blanchard intently watching that match and then intently watching the Revival?
That's kind of what I'm gonna get at here. And also keep your phone a little more steady. You're like shaking. It's like you're in the Blair Witch Project there.
Right.
But no, that's what I was kind of gonna get at next with that. I think they're tossing all the lines out there in regards to specifically the Elite, teasing a little bit of heel turns. You have the Hangman drinking with FTR. You have Kenny Omega going a little nuts after his triple tag match, assaulting Marco Stunt a little further. And then, yeah, you have Cody kind of like showing off his heelness. So, like, where do you think this is going to go? I think there's a couple red herrings going on, and then there's going to be one legitimate heel turn out of all this. Who would you put your money on? Or do you think there's something else going on that maybe I'm not estimating or guessing?
Where I hope it's going is that the Elite are going to be. So I think that the guys as a shoot are starting to get a little bit of heat, because it's like, a lot of people are calling it all friends wrestling. And, it's like these guys they're all sharing the vice president role. And it's like they're doing like stuff that could be construed as a shoot as like heelish things. Like, oh, come on, you guys are just pushing your buddies, or you're making sure the people that you like come into the company and get paid and all that stuff. So I think that they should lean right into that. Like, why not make that the gimmick where they turn Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny Omega heel and make them say, like, this is our company. We own this company. Well, we pull all the strings, and then have another group come up as opposition.
Who would you put in that group? You have the Inner Circle. They're all heels.
I think the people that probably would be best suited to push back as of right now are FTR. Would be a good start. And John Moxley.
Hangman
Page. Yep.
Be interesting. Maybe you might have something there, Marcus. You might have something there. I was kind of thinking more of the lines of like, who's it gonna be? More so of like, who's the one that's gonna line with the heel FTR? Is it gonna be Kenny? Is it gonna be Hangman? Or could we see Cody? Somebody that's kind of been sitting on the sidelines right now is Sean Spears too, but he's got the glove gimmick going on with Tully and everything too. So it's like there's all those different elements coming into play. So yeah, you know what? I kind of like that idea though of like the Elite kind of just going that route. But maybe with some. Yeah.
I would like to see Cody remain a babyface. Like maybe the Elite are trying to get him to do that. And he's like, I know I've done some shady things in the past few weeks, but that's just not who I am. And like, yes, I'm executive vice president of this company, but like, I don't believe in that. And then maybe he can feud with them. And hey, let's get Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson as the heads of a stable with FTR and Cody. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of ways to play with this thing. I'm excited to see what they do. I feel like AEW, they always come really, really close to hitting the mark and just barely miss it. But I think eventually they're going to hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So do you like where it's going? Do you like the elements that they're throwing out there, or how do you feel about the execution of it all so far?
So far, I'm not crazy about all of the execution. Sometimes a little bit too blatant. Sometimes a little bit too subtle. So I think they've got to find a happy medium with what they're doing, and just let's start to make overt moves that aren't quite so in your face. How's that for an answer? It sounds a little bit like avoiding the question,
A
but
little bit.
I'm sticking with it.
Okay. Well, do you feel the storytelling aspect of it all has been fine? How do you feel? Okay, yeah, let me just go with this one because this is kind of where I'm kind of going with it mostly. How have you liked the handling of FTR so far from a storyline perspective? I know you like their match work. I know all that stuff. Where do you feel the storytelling aspect in regards to since their debut to what they've become to them kind of teasing friendship with the Young Bucks to all that kind of thing? Do you like that aspect? Where do you stand with that?
It feels like strikes and gutters to me right now, Dom. Where a lot of things like this whole pouring the beer on Kenny Omega's head thing. I think that's gold. I like that they're doing stuff like that. But then like, why are the Butcher and the Blade stealing their truck and then like standing in front of it while, as Jim Ross put it, dressed like a couple of bakers, and they're standing in front of this truck and they're just like holding the key, and then like all it takes is a young buck coming up behind them, knock them down, take the key, and they don't come running up on the Young Bucks afterwards. They're just like, I'm just gonna leave. That's enough.
You know what? We're done.
Yep,
we had our fun.
Okay, that hurt, so I'm leaving. And like that was like the vibe that I got from it. And it's like, okay, no tough guy human would take a shot to the head like that, get up and dust themselves off and be like, I guess that's that then. So like these are all theoretically supposed to be a bunch of alpha males, right? A bunch of guys who think that they're tougher than the other guys. So that makes no sense to me. So it's like they'll do one good thing, but in the same segment, they do something that's completely stupid and not thought out. And honestly, Dom, sometimes it feels like they come in that day and they're like, all right, what are we doing? Like? It's a very WCW like last minute, like we'll just do this, and they just like come up with the idea and go out and do it, and it sucks.
I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was a Meltzer or PW Torch, but I really agreed with this aspect is that they're really good with the long-term booking of things, like the eventual overall execution of a storyline, but the short-term stuff seems real ham-jankery, and the direction to get there seems really muddied, so to speak, in a lot of ways, where it's, like kind of what you were saying, almost like by the fly and like, hey, let's get to this is how we don't know what exactly we're going to do to get there, but this is the path we're going to take, but let's have a little fun and do all this stuff where it's just like some of that stuff, like we mentioned last week, needs to be tightened up. And so, and you know what, next week it's going to be the Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade. I think the Butcher and the Blade have to win. They got to get a win here. It's just like
they will not. They will not. They should.
I want to think that they will. Huh?
Well, so they're pinning themselves into a corner because now the only way for the Butcher and the Blade to win is if FTR interferes on their behalf, and then the Young Bucks get a pinfall. But then it's why would FTR interfere? These guys just stole their damn truck.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna help you, even though I hate the other guys. I hope you two kill each other, and I'm just gonna not even show up. Like that's what a logical person would say. But like they're not using enough logic.
What they could do is they could have the Bucks kind of try to help out FTR, but they actually blow it for FTR, and then Butcher and Blade get the win there.
I think the only reasonable way to do it is FTR comes out and hits the Bucks with chairs, thereby disqualifying, or hits the Butcher and the Blade with chairs, thereby disqualifying the Bucks, and Butcher and the Blade get the win. That's it.
They don't do a lot of DQ stuff, though. They don't do a lot of DQ stuff, AEW. So,
which is another sticking point. It's dumb. There needs to be more DQs so that we've established rules of the match, so that then the heels can break the rules and it means more.
Yeah, I see that they need to do a little bit more of that. I wouldn't want too many DQ finishes because I do appreciate just having a strict match going on. But they have overall, there's been a little bit of shakiness with it, I feel, and it's great. Like I've said before, it's great that, the Young Bucks are painted as top tag teams, same with FTR, but you really want to elevate those rest of the rest of your division too, when it comes to and those guys like Butcher and the Blade and guys like stuff like that. Gotta hear them talk. You gotta get them wins. You gotta do all this stuff, and it can't be just dark stuff either. You just gotta get them, have established them on your television product,
I think honestly the way that they've been treated so far in AEW, the Butcher and the Blade, and I know I mentioned this last week. I think at this point they're not a tag team anymore. Split them up, let them go their separate ways. I think each of them has the ability and the look and the style to get over on their own. But as a tag team, all they are is fodder for the upper echelon of the tag team division. Which, by the way, every tag team division needs. They need some fodder. But like, I think that you've got two guys who are very talented and both have great looks who should not be treated as fodder. I think that they could be more under the right circumstances. So split them up. Let's rebrand both of them, bring them back in, and let's see what they can do as solos. Because let me tell you, I see on a marquee one day Brian Cage and the Butcher, and like how's that for the main event of a pay per view, right? For the AEW title. I mean, that's right there. I'm like, I want to see that match. That sounds very cool. You know, this big old dangerous looking guy in the Butcher, and then Brian Cage, who's like the physique guy. You know,
Yeah.
so like, yes, let's see that match. So let's. I say they restart the Butcher and the Blade because they don't know how to use them.
Yeah, they haven't utilized them to their greatest point, for sure. Um, so what do you think about Vicky Guerrero managing Nyla Rose? How do you feel of that pairing?
It does feel a little bit like a Hail Mary to a degree, where it's just like, what are we doing? Chuck it up, Vicky Guerrero. Let's get her in there. She's a face and a name that everybody knows. So to a degree, it does feel like throwing up a Hail Mary. But at the same time, I like Vicky Guerrero too much to hate the idea. I think Vicky Guerrero, she's just a fun personality to have in there. And I think that she's a good compliment to Nyla Rose. So like, I came in healed with it, but I'm going out baby face. I like the angle.
Yeah, no, I think Nyla Rose can talk on her own, so she doesn't necessarily need a mouthpiece. But from what it seems, is they're going to be a pretty good pairing. And I'm looking forward to see how they handle Vicky Guerrero in this role in comparison to how they handled her in WWE, where she was like, a comedic act, and they kind of demeaned her in certain ways and things like that, where she'll have. She's got a little more diversity and our versatility. I mean, to kind of maybe flex a little bit that we maybe haven't seen yet from her. Kind of like we knew Taz could cut a promo, but we didn't necessarily see Taz in this particular light for a very long time in WWE since he was so positioned in a commentary role. So.
And now, as of this day, 7/17/20, Taz might be the best promo in the business right now.
Right. And like, dude, even that whole aspect to him, like, pushing Cage back and all that stuff after he throws in the towel. I'm like, dude, Taz is like the best right now. He's like the best in the game, I feel. It's super cool to see. And, it really shows you how underutilized a lot of these guys were, even top stars that were established before they got to WWE. Just how much they didn't get to show their creativity. And now they have that ability. And it's pretty nice to see. Moxley, his return back overall in general. How do you feel he's handled himself as world champion so far, even though we've only had a little bit of him, these past few months with the COVID situation going on and everything?
I think it's good. I think that having an established name in the business like Jon Moxley as your world champion, it's never bad business. I do want to see more of him and different flavors of him because I think that he's got a lot to offer. And right now, it's just like his whole thing is like, I'm pissed off all the time, and whoever you put in front of me, I'm going to run over. And that's basically his whole gimmick, which is great. That's a good thing to have, especially in a guy who's kind of the flag bearer for the company. But like, let's see some different flavors of him. Like let's get different attitude. Let's put him in different situations, storyline wise. Because again, he's another guy who's like he can carry your company, but let's give him a little bit more to play with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that his body language throughout the entire match with Brian Cage and stuff. Like, I love the the visual of him flipping off Taz when he had him in the armbar and stuff like that, and just like showing
Yep.
like all that stuff. That
Love
was really quality stuff. His like pseudo kind of alliance with Darby Allin, like they kind of tease a little bit of a friendship there in a way. I thought that's pretty cool. You always want friends, the baby faces, to have friends, like whether they're like, on Fringe or like, just acquaintances, stuff like that. I feel that adds a whole new cool element to storytelling that, is very valuable to a wrestling product. So seeing that was really good. Somebody that I'm very, I don't understand why they haven't been highlighting him these past few weeks or anything like that. Where the hell is Lance Archer? Where the hell, like, that's a guy you need to keep established and everything like that. I don't know what's the deal with that is. It's been a couple of weeks, and I understand absence makes a heart grow fonder, but they got to do stuff. Like you don't have to have them wrestle on a show, huh?
How about Brody Lee? I mean, I know he hasn't been missing quite as much, but like Brody Lee's he's a great talent, great promo, and they kind of buried him in like a pretty weak angle, to be honest, with this whole Dark Order thing. This Dark Order thing, I want it to go away.
Well, you know what? We haven't even talked about that whatsoever, like since we started the show, and that kind of tells something, like, doesn't it? We haven't really talked
about. What's there to talk about, really? It's they're trying to recruit people for their thing, and now they have Colt Cabana, which is a completely unremarkable angle. And it's just
I do like that aspect of it though, because it's like, everybody's used to seeing Colt as goofy and jokester and all that stuff. So like, kind of him going to the dark side is kind of an interesting, intriguing element to it. But like, we don't get so much of the Dark Order's purpose. Like, what's their agenda necessarily? Do you know?
No, what's their end game? Is it to win the title? Because they never talk about the title.
They don't. They don't. They've recruited people, but what's their benefit and what's the overall goal here? Like you want to, if you're gonna sick on somebody, like you got to sick on somebody and then like, make a statement of some sort. But like right now, the Dark Order is there. Brody Lee's intriguing. Some of the aspects they have is kind of intriguing, but you want to see that kind of get put together or something, because it's just like, I don't know, it's not a factor right now.
No, it's not. And like, I can reasonably see a real pairing down the road between how about this as a tag team? Lance Archer and Brody Lee with Jake the Snake on the outside. Like something like that could be a very, very cool thing to have. You don't need the Dark Order thing. Like it's completely superfluous. I know Evil Uno's the one guy. What's the name of the guy that looks like Kratos? I've heard it a million times.
Geez, oh man, why am I? Stu Grayson.
See what I mean, though? Yeah, we don't remember this guy's name. Stu Grayson, I thought that was like one of the people that was Robin at one point in like the Batman series, right?
Well, Dick. Dick.
Okay, so like I don't know. It's these are very unremarkable characters that they're not doing much with. Whereas if they were to just tweak it a little bit and say, hey, let's just put Lance Archer and Brody Lee together in a stable. Okay, now we're getting pretty interesting. These two giants who have a tendency to rip people apart. Very cool. Let's see what they do. So I feel like there's so much talent and ability there. They've just got to tweak it the right way. And it's like tuning a radio station, Dom. Like right now it's kind of fuzzy. All you got to do is tweak it a little bit and it'll be crystal clear.
Yeah. And you know what? I will say that some of this stuff that they've kind of redirected course with, like I find pretty well done. Like for a good example of that, I think is like, Joey Janela was kind of floating there for a little bit. Like they didn't know what to do with him. And I think pairing him up with Sonny Kiss as a tag team is a pretty darn good idea. Cause like they have a history together being from Jersey and all that kind of thing. And so they've shown the capability of finding the right situation to put some of their talent in, but it's a matter of executing and just being willing to take the risk and make the jump of like, okay, hey, let's wipe the slate clean, or let's just rethink all this stuff to certain aspects. And if we don't see something intriguing from the Dark Order or what their purpose is or something else coming in, then it might be time to jump ship here. We're almost out of time, but we can't go away without saying. So tonight is once the clock turns midnight. It's July 18th, and so a lot of free agents going to be available. If you had to make a prediction, who are you gonna say is coming into AEW? Well, go yeah. Who do you think's coming into AEW, and maybe who do you want to see come into AEW? Say, pick three guys. Three guys
All
in the
right.
market.
Well, I think Matt Cardona is a lock. I think he's going to be in AEW. He and Cody are close personal friends. And he's a recognizable big name in the industry. So Matt Cardona is an easy one for me. I think he's going to be in AEW. I want to see Brian Myers in AEW. And let me say that it could be a very interesting stable if you involve Cody and Matt and Brian Myers. That could be, you could have
people haven't thought about that either. Who has we've already talked about like the Elite going heel or things like that, and that could be a pretty good babyface stable to go up against a heel Elite team.
Absolutely, no question about it. That could be very cool. And then, I mean, you're still leaving a lot out there, because then you can talk about feuds with FTR, and if you want to keep pushing the Dark Order, maybe, So there's a lot of ways that you can go. I know you said only three, but there's two more I want to add.
Okay.
So another guy I'd love to see come into the company. I think he was released a little bit later, if I remember this correctly. But how about Joe Hennig? I'd really like to see him come in to AEW. There's a guy who had so much talent that he was training with The Rock before his WrestleMania matches with John Cena. This guy is good. He inherited all of his father's skill. He just needs somebody who knows how to treat him the right way, which clearly WWE didn't. And finally, I think that it would be a real miss to not at least try to sign Rusev. Just because, I mean, he was over. He was the fans were backing him, and WWE inexplicably just kind of trashed him.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, obviously, arguably, he's like literally kind of the biggest talent, but also like, it has a lot of personality that WWE showed. Like he showed for WWE, but they did not make the most of him. They didn't. So,
Yep.
No, I mean, ultimately, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
What about you? Who do you want to see come in?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I'd like to see Rusev. I think Joe Hennig's an amazing one to choose. You could definitely do a lot with him. And, he got that shot as Curtis Axel for the Intercontinental Championship and stuff like that way back. They made him a Heyman guy, but they jumped ship on that real quick too, And then he went with the B team and showed a little bit of personality to himself and everything. But no, I'd love to see Joe Hennig like kind of get a better shot, because he's got that name. There's just no reason not to try to do that. And
before you continue on, I have to say, like, what a trash gimmick to give to the son of a legend. You're literally a member of the B team of WWE. By the way, two sons of legends. We're talking about IRS son and Bo Dallas. And you're just trashing your own talent that you are spending money on and putting on television. They've got to make their own shirts that say B Team on it. Like that is a pathetic, terrible angle, completely mistreating a talented guy. Like Curtis Axel as a name, Curtis Axel is the name you go with. Like, how about just Joe Hennig?
Or Axe Hennig. Call him Axe Hennig, even like just Larry the Axe or whatever.
How about Joe Perfect? Like, let's steer right into the fact that yes, his dad's a legend, and yeah, have him acknowledge it. Yeah, my dad's a legend, but I'm going to do more than he ever thought he could do in the business. How about something like that? Man, I could have seen he's a great worker. How about a long-term angle between him and Randy Orton? That could have been really cool. How about you bring him in and let's do a long-term angle between just him and Cody Rhodes? Son of a plumber.
Well, you could do it now. Here's the opportunity, or here's him to align with Cody Rhodes. Like this, you got all these opportunities. You got these legends, these legacy stars supporting these other guys, from Tully to Arn to even like Taz. You got mixed in. You got Jake the Snake there. You got all these names that harken back to legacy. Why the hell not? Like Joe Hennig, man. Like that's a great point. Like, and that's somebody that's nobody's thinking of either. I'm gonna take this clip and we're gonna fucking put it up on there real quick. Yeah, and
good.
I put it up there real good.
Who else, Tom?
Hey, I don't think this is a shameless plug, but I interviewed EC3. I think he'd be a great addition to AEW. You know,
Nope.
he fits really well with obviously Impact because of the history he has there, and his namesake stems from there. And Slammiverse's coming this Saturday, so he's like the ducks are all lined up for somebody. They're gonna have some debuts there. We'll get some more answers in regards to who shows up there, and but the way he handles himself, even in our interview, he said, you know, I'm not worried about getting stars, like making stars or earning stars. I'm more concerned with creating memories that people, you know, think about instead. And, you know, you want that kind of attitude in AEW right now. Like, you want something like that where it's like, you're obviously matches are important and stuff like that, but look at how Cody handles himself in matches with storytelling. Storytelling is primary, and the ring work is good and great, but the storytelling aspect is the most fascinating part of all that stuff. So EC3 could do the very same to it, and so I'd like to see him there. Those would be my three choices. So Rusev, EC3, and like you said, Joe Hennig, who I didn't even think about beforehand. So that would be my three. That would be my three. There's plenty out there, though.
Could be some good stuff. I do feel like, you know, I'm not going to trash Impact or TNA or whatever they call themselves now. I do feel like if you're going from WWE and you have your choice, like AEW is trying to sign you or Impact is trying to sign you, I mean, Impact feels like very much the minor leagues, while AEW to me is like, it might be a step down from like the Yankees, which I guess WWE sort of is in the wrestling world. You know, you're going from the Yankees. Yeah, but you know, going from
You're going for the
WWE,
Yankees or the Cardinals. It's a great baseball franchise.
to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the perfect way to put it. So whereas if you're going to Impact, you're kind of like going to the Padres or the Pirates. So
well, Pirates might be too low. Pirates would probably be like what, some outlaw mud show. That was what the Pirates would be.
That's probably more accurate. Hey Dom, I'm ready to sign off. I did want to make one more point though. We didn't really touch on the FTR Lucha Brothers match, which I didn't think the chemistry was especially good between the two, but that's not that big of a deal. They're both good enough teams that it was a fine match. I'm not going to say it was bad by any means. I did notice one interesting thing in it. So on Twitter, Dax Harwood made a comment about. He said something to the effect. This was like days before Dynamite. He made a comment to the effect, if you have to talk about how hard you chop, you probably can't fight in real life. He had that tweet, and he got chopped so hard in that match that
his chest.
Yes, like so. Those are some very hard chops. So I'm wondering if that was a pointer to mark toward Penta, and Penta decided to take some liberties. Right? Makes you wonder a little bit. It was just a little bit too ironic for me.
Okay, I know we're signing off, but did you catch the thing on Twitter where like all the verified Twitter accounts went down for temporary bit? Did you see my buddy Rich Fan from the PW Torch? He tweeted out like all the unverified people coming into Twitter like this, and he had Pentagon going like this, like walking, like they give him walking in the truck. I was cracking up so hard at that.
Yeah, that was really.
That shit was so funny. Oh yeah, no, you know I agree with you though. It was a fine match. It didn't pop me like super duper. There'll be more opportunities for that, I feel. But
there were chemistry issues, and may have been like some technique or even like language barrier issues going on there, potentially.
Somebody said that too. That could be an issue, and I'm sure it ended up being part of an issue.
But all that being said, the match was fine. It wasn't a bad match. It just wasn't as good as you would hope to see from two marquee tag teams.
Did you like the finish? The mask finish?
Yes, I thought that was a very smartly thought out finish. I was impressed that Rey Fenix would allow himself to be unmasked, because I know how that's viewed in Mexico. So I thought it was a unique way to get out of the match with both teams saving face.
Yeah, Yeah. All right.
If you'll pardon the play on words, saving face, the mask. Let's sign off.
Hey-o. Yeah.
Hit our peak. Sign off.
Where do they follow you at, Mark?
You can follow me at Keystone MPD on Twitter. Lots and lots of Dallas Cowboys content there. So go ahead and jump in there.
Little too much. Little overbearing with those.
I also share a lot of Bob's Burger stuff, so that's cool.
Do you?
So
I haven't seen that on my
Dom,
feed.
I just shared a clip today that they just put up. It's like a special short about how the Belchers are doing through COVID. So
Really?
go check that out. Yes, it's a real thing that the producers of Bob's Burgers made. So go to my Twitter, Dom, and everybody else go to my Twitter and just check it out. Follow me. It's fine. If you don't, I don't care. I've got tons of followers. I think I'm around 40 right now, Dom.
Tons of friends. I have plenty of friends.
That's right. I'm doing just fine.
I just ate okay.
Dom, where do they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. It's my name, guys. I got it like 11 years ago, before Twitter was a real big thing. So secured it. I have to plug my stuff. I had a lineup of interviews. I interviewed the Von Erichs last Friday. That's going to debut next week. I interviewed Crowbar from the WCW days. That's also debuting next week. Both fascinating interviews, both about an hour long. And then probably my biggest interview I've ever had. From a personal perspective, and probably just from a name perspective, I interviewed Terry Funk, and it's been, Marcus knows this. It's been a long time coming. I read his book. I gradually went over his book for like a year and a half, and then I finally finished it. And then I called him up, and we talked for like an hour and a half about the book. And just about his legacy and the influence he's had on the business. It was really fascinating, and I'm super excited for that to release. And obviously, too, I just interviewed EC3 as well, as I mentioned earlier, which is great. And he's supposed to get in a fight tonight at midnight, but you probably will see that already by the time you see this. So there you go.
Terry Funk is, I know that you're not a Mark, Dom. You've been around the business long enough now that you're not. But the thing is, a guy like Terry Funk, like, you could arguably put him in the same breath as a guy like Bruno Sammartino, as a guy like Hulk Hogan. We're talking about a guy who has been through all of it, and who grew up in the business. And so it's just as now come to an advanced stage himself, and a guy who has so much to offer still in the way of wisdom. Like, just very, very cool that you got to talk to somebody like Terry Funk. If there's any younger watchers or listeners who aren't familiar with him, just Google or go to YouTube and type in Terry Funk ECW, and I'm sure you'll fall in love with the man.
I told this too. I told Terry this in the interview, and I'm going to express it even nonstop as I progress as a journalist. If you are a wrestling journalist, if you're a wrestler and you're in the business, you start off, read chapter 13 of the Terry Funk biography, The Art of the Promo, and it's all what you need to know to get over. It's amazing, and how he lays it out, what he says about it, and how he starts it off too, is a promo about Jerry Lawler. And it's not what you think. It's not like it's not like one of his classics from way back when. So you have to read it if you're a wrestler, even if you're just a fan. It's overall, the book is amazing. So funny stories. You can see Terry Funk in anything that gets said. It's like you can envision him saying everything. So it's great.
Well,
it's great.
You allowed me the opportunity to listen to it advanced, and let me just say, Dom had made the point while he's on the phone with Terry that he thinks that book should be almost like a manual for the business. And so I think anybody who's thinking about becoming a wrestler, read the book. Even Terry was like, you could tell he was very flattered by the comment. And he's like, yeah, like it does kind of seem like something that guys should read before they get into the business. And it's 100% absolutely. That's just one tiny glimpse of what was an awesome interview between you and Terry. And everybody needs to take the time and listen to that while they're at work or in the car or whatever.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Marcus. And if you need a Dax Harwood booking, just get my brother here.
That's right. That's right. Just tell the audience you secured Dax Harwood. Even if it's like a live stream kind of a wrestling event, I'll come out there. I could probably put on a good enough show, right, Dom?
Well, I don't know.
I'll go out there.
Somebody could bloody your chest up.
Yeah, no problem. I'll take a couple shots at the chest. You know, you can pay me in hot dogs. It's fine.
It's fine. Jax Harwood right here, everybody.
Jax Harwood, his brother. Let's get me in the business, Tom.
Let's do it. Okay. I got a couple ins.
All right, we got to sign off.
All right. We're done. We're done.
All right, guys. Check us out next week.
Yep. See you guys.